world headquarters of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
One new developments tonight in the IRS targeting scandal. A lawsuit uncovering some crucial evidence from the woman at the heart of the scandal may have been destroyed after the investigation began. In February 2012, the House Oversight Committee started looking into these targeting claims. Months later, in June 2012, Lois Lerner's BlackBerry was wiped clean. Wait, but she was under investigation. Why did that happen? Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch. His group's lawsuit against the IRS uncovered this new information. So while she knew, we presume, that she was under investigation, she wiped her BlackBerry clean, and she also must have known by that time that she was having major hard drive problems.
Well, exactly, and Congress is sniffing around, so that issue was live. And the only reason we know this information is because a federal court judge forced it out of the IRS. He wanted an explanation. They gave him a joke of an explanation, and on his own, he said, give me more information. Are there other devices she used, like BlackBerries or iPads? And they said, oh yeah, well, there was this BlackBerry, and they admitted just recently that it was erased, and people have put it together with the timing of congressional investigations and the fact other emails have disappeared. There's no explanation as to why that BlackBerry was scrubbed. So, again, raises more questions about the IRS's unwillingness to be forthcoming.
Let's turn the page, because you also made news this week by claiming that your lawyers in this case spoke with DOJ lawyers on Friday, and that DOJ lawyers made an admission to your lawyers that, in fact, there are backup tapes that would hold the so-called missing Lois Lerner emails, the ones that were lost when her hard drive melted down, and that those backup tapes have been available all along. The DOJ now denies that. They claim you've got your facts wrong. How do you respond?
Well, they told us there was a system for backup in case of catastrophe, and that the emails were potentially available on these tapes or backup systems, but it was too onerous for them to search them. So they don't disagree with us as there were backup tapes. They're just disagreeing with us as to whether this is new information, and it is new information. We asked them to supplement the record to the court because the court wants to know about this information. There are two court orders asking the IRS directly for information about where Lois Lerner's emails are. They haven't told the court yet. We asked the IRS, are you going to tell the court about this new backup system, whatever it is you call it? And they said no.
They've come out and said this, because it's sort of it's an interesting denial. There was no new backup system described last week to Judicial Watch. We simply referred to the same email retention policy we've described all along. So they are emphasizing this was not a new backup system that was revealed to you.
They talked about a catastrophic backup system, not only for the IRS, but it was clear that it was government-wide. They could access it, but they did not want to. So whether they call it new or old is inconsequential because the court wanted details on these backup systems because that's where the Lois Lerner emails may be. They didn't tell the court, and they still refuse to tell the court. They don't want to supplement the record. So we're happy to have this discussion in federal court before Judge Sullivan. I don't understand why the IRS didn't tell the court this. This is just this is one example, a long string of obstruction, frankly, and dishonesty by this agency in a cover-up of the IRS abuse.
Tom, thank you. For more, we're joined by Julian Epstein, who's former Democratic Chief Counsel for the House Judiciary Committee and CEO of the public affairs firm LMG. Julian, any of those strike you as problematic, wiping the BlackBerry when they knew that they were under investigation?
Maybe only a little bit, but I think there are some important facts that Tom didn't discuss. In February of 2012, Lois Lerner got a new BlackBerry, which is very common. You exchange old BlackBerries for new BlackBerries. So she got a new BlackBerry in February 2012. Several months later, the IRS swiped that BlackBerry, which is, again, standard operating procedure. But
it's different when you know you're under congressional investigation. The wiping,
not really,
that happens here at Fox News when I need a new BlackBerry. It would be a little bit more problematic if I had received a letter from Jim Jordan saying you're under investigation.
Well, that sounds very reasonable, except for the fact that BlackBerries at the IRS are synced with your computers. Now, it is true that Lois Lerner, pre-June 2011, had a computer crash. But at the time we're talking about, where she's exchanging an old BlackBerry for a new BlackBerry, her computer was working perfectly well. So the emails during that period of time are perfectly well preserved on her existing computer. Now, somebody could make the case, and here's what, if Tom were to make a criticism that I think would be valid, and he didn't make this, but I'll kind of help him out here. If he wanted to make a criticism, he could say, the old BlackBerry that was turned in February of 2012, perhaps that could have had some forensics that were useful in trying to get some of the emails that were lost when the computer crashed in June 2011.
Tell me what you think, because the impression I get from him is that, you know, this is coming out in dribs and drabs. This is a federal court judge saying, look, be forthright, be forthcoming. You have an obligation as an officer of the court to not make me beg for it. Tell me what is out there so I can assess whether you've been forthcoming. And it does not sound like Judge Sullivan is impressed with the IRS's disclosures.
Well, again, I'm not sure about his state of mind about this, but I will say that the policy of swiping old BlackBerries for new BlackBerries is a policy. It's a written policy. There's nothing unusual about that. That's common in agencies.
Why didn't they volunteer that there was a BlackBerry when they were probing as to what devices might have the emails? Why did the judge have to ask for it and then be told, actually, it was wiped after she knew she was under investigation?
I think it's a perfectly reasonable question, Megan. I think if, to the extent that Lerner and the IRS were not more candid about that or more upfront, they should have been. But I think at the same time, in their defense, everyone knows that everybody in the agency is carrying BlackBerries. Everybody knows they're synced with computers.
I wonder if they get mocked for it the way I do.
Well, but the point here, Megan, is that
that's the thing. I've got my iPhone for my pictures, my kids, and then I've got my little typing. Anyway, I'm going to send you an email right now.
I like the voice dictation on the on iPhone. But look, the point here is that no one has said anything that any of the information on the swipe BlackBerry was lost. In the same way that nobody has ever said any of the Obama administration officials were in any way involved in this IRS matter.
We'll see. We'll do it again soon. We have a